Hello there everyone, and welcome to Scribble Sprites. Constructed Magic has three primary formats: Standard, Modern, and Legacy, with Pauper established online and growing quickly in paper. My favorite among these is Modern, but let's be honest, it's not a cheap format. At the time of this writing, the most recent Magic Online League shows an average cost for the 5.0 finishing decks of $964, with a median cost of $863. That range goes from just over $300 to over $2,000 for a single deck. As much as I love Modern, that's expensive and can be prohibitive to owning more than one deck. Even Pauper, the cheapest of the constructed formats, is now averaging around $70 a deck in paper. Today on Scribble Sprites, we're going to look at a version of the Modern format where the average deck cost is under 1% of the average Modern deck and barely over 10% of a Pauper deck. This format is $8 Modern. As you've probably figured out from the name, $8 is a casual variant of the normal Modern format where your deck cost can be no more than $8 US. Alex Cahill, known on Twitter as an imperfect dude, came up with the idea a few years ago as a way to get people in a deck brewing frame of mind and to get together periodically and jam some games without getting heavily competitive. $8 Modern uses all existing rules for the competitive Modern format, including set legality and ban list. Where it gets interesting is trying to make these decks fit in your very restrictive budget. The budget rules are as follows. Basic lands don't count. Your sideboard must also fit in your budget. Condition doesn't matter. And shipping doesn't count. To figure out your deck cost, go to the online site of your choice. I recommend TCG Player because, well, it's usually the cheapest, and create a shopping cart with your deck. Make sure you look through all the damaged and heavily played cards as well, as you can find some real bargains there. Optimizing your cart on TCG Player usually doesn't work because TCG takes shipping costs into account when optimizing. Another way, and probably the simplest, is to use an app called Deck Builder to build and price your deck. Make sure you set the store in Deck Builder to TCG Player Low. Deck Builder will do all the searching, sorting, and filtering for you, and just give you the lowest possible per card cost. Whenever I do $8 Modern deck techs here on Scribble Sprites, I'll show you the pricing as computed within Deck Builder. Now, one thing I want to stress is that you don't have to use these very cheap, possibly damaged cards when building your deck. Feel free to bling out your deck in foils, promos, whatever, as much as you like. The cheap versions are only used to determine legality. Also, I recommend repricing your deck a few days before each time you play, just to be sure something hasn't spiked its way out of your deck. We all know how random and capricious MTG Finance can be, so better to give yourself a little time to tweak your brew to get it in under the limit. Speaking of playing, where do you play $8 Modern? Well, anywhere you want. When our play group started playing, we just met at convenient locations every few weeks. We've since gotten into a rhythm by meeting about once a month at the amazing Horse Brass Tavern in Portland. I recommend organizing within your playgroup and just doing it. Once you start, you'll have so much fun, you'll instantly want to brew up another deck and start playing again. Now, let's get real. What can you actually do with an $8 price limit on a deck? Doesn't that severely restrict the power of your decks? Au contraire, my friend. While sure, you can put together some pretty janky decks and some pretty weak ones, there's some real strong decks out there, including slightly modified versions of standard powerhouse decks of the recent past. Some appearances at more recent $8 events have included a Rally the Ancestors deck, Red-White Heroic, Sidisi Whip, and Temur Morphs. The format also spawns new archetypes you might not have previously considered. Curse Control, Dragon Tribal, and Mardu Midrange have all made appearances. Here on Scribble Sprites, I'll call out some of the more interesting $8 brews in their own deck techs. Be sure to subscribe to this channel to keep up on all these brews. Has your group started their own $8 night? Got your own brew you'd like featured? Leave a comment. Let's see what we can do. Thanks for watching, everyone, and enjoy!